What's going on, my friends? Welcome on out to Behind the Energy podcast, where we dive into behind the scenes of DJing, entrepreneurship, and all the excitement in between. We got some friends, some cool people joining us, and a lot of fun stories. So without further ado, let's jump into Behind the Energy podcast. Ooh, that was a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, party people, people out in Europe, we've got Salt Lake City, Sandy, and then Germany is like the order of the most popular locations of listeners. I don't know why or how.
You're kidding.
No, I'm being serious. So shout out to the people out in Germany.
Yo, what's up?
We've got a few listeners in Asia, got a few listeners in South America.
Dude, that's wild.
It's dope. So yes, shout out. Welcome to the podcast. Yeah. Welcome to episode 39 of Behind the Energy. Mikey, welcome to the show, my dude.
Hey, I made it. I'm here. Dude, when we were in Vegas and you had asked me to come on the show, dude, I went back to my room. I told you, and I was like, oh man, I'm so pumped. Parker asked me to come on in.
I think the past 2 or 3 times prior, you were hyping up the show to someone else you were introducing me to.
Oh yeah.
And I had made a note, I want to get Mikey on here. I just hadn't finished scheduling everything out yet. So I'm glad you reminded me, and I'm glad we're finally sitting down and doing this. My friends, listeners, for a little bit of context, Mikey is an expert in the event industry as well. He is an entrepreneur. He is the owner of Clementine Photo Booths, and I've got a note here, the Utah WIPA Director of Community and Outreach.
Yeah. So, for the WIPA Utah chapter, I'm the Director of Community Outreach. So basically, I'm responsible for finding the the nonprofit charities that we're going to support through our events.
Awesome.
Drives, donations, that kind of stuff.
Real quick for the listeners, what is WIPA?
WIPA is Wedding International Professionals Association.
Excellent.
Yeah, and so it's basically an industry group for industry professionals, but specifically for wedding industry professionals.
Exactly.
And not to be confused with CWIP, which is a Certified Wedding Industry Professional. WIPA helped develop it, but that is a different designation. If you see someone with a CWIP, gotcha. That doesn't necessarily mean that's not a direct correlation with WIPA. But
gotcha. Okay.
But yeah.
Thank you, because I think that is really where I really want to just start the podcast, start the show, and kick things off. Mikey, we met at, I believe, 2 events prior to really kind of kicking it off and having more conversation. I know we met at Crescent Hall. I think that was the second time we met. What was the first event that we did?
The first event we did was the one at For You Ranch.
For You Ranch.
I was set up outside, but I think the groom was a professional dancer or something. I mean, but him and the bride were tearing up the dance floor. You were killing it, and I love to dance, but I don't dance for anyone, right? Like you got to make me dance, and even I was in there dancing. It was a good time.
Do you every now and then, if you're in the zone, if you're feeling it, if the vibes are right, you'll actually go out at weddings and break it down?
Oh, dude, I get hyphy.
I love that.
Yeah. I grew up in Northern California when the Bay Area music scene was popping off, right? Okay. The hyphy movement was huge. I mean, and the songs that talk about Ghost Ride in the Whip, we did that, right? We did that regularly. It was nuts, man. It was wild. We had a lot of fun back then. Oh man, dude, yeah, it was an epic time. I'm really glad I got to live through that.
Hopefully, listeners, you're feeling the hyphy vibes through the sound waves and through the camera lens. If I remember right, it was Casey and Zach's wedding at For You Ranch, and it was really hot outside.
It was, yeah, it was toasty.
It was probably a June, July.
And someone spilled their drink on my table.
Oh, don't you love that?
Yeah. It's
it's the best place I'm going to put my drink.
I know, right? Yeah.
That was sarcastic. So our paths then crossed at at a few other events, and Mikey was just super super friendly, and the conversation of WIPA came up in conversation, or the topic of WIPA came up in conversation a few times. And then come December 2021, so just a couple months ago, WIPA was hosting their end of the year gala, if you will. Is that kind of like the appropriate title?
Yeah, the gala. Yeah.
And Mikey was super kind to extend an invite to me and my boy Jordy, and that night was beautiful and just kind of blew my non-existent hair off the top of my head, just because it was so elaborate, so beautiful, and like it was a gala. That was awesome.
It was a gala. And we had talked about it. We had that event, I think it was last October, for Alex at the View. And we were talking about it there, and you were like kind of on the fence, and I was like, he's got to come, because I had because I had seen you, at a wedding. I knew you were like the type of person that would get a lot of benefit out of WIPA. And so I it was big for me, so I knew it was going to be important for you to get in there too.
Yeah, you and Cooper have been, I guess, really the big not catalyst, but like we're very supportive in getting me involved, and obviously pulled the trigger and joined the community at the start of this year.
Cooper and I used to we like started WIPA together. I think I'd gone to like one or two like WIPA networking events before I like roped Cooper into coming with me, and because I was so nervous, because there's all these like big people, that you're meeting.
Oh, I still feel that way. Yeah.
And so we would carpool together so that, and we would like brainstorm, like
topics of conversation or something.
Yeah, we would prep, and we had a system for how we would work the room, and we would meet people. We would bring each other into conversations, but we both felt like new fish in this pond, and it can be intimidating. It really can. That's like one of the things that we hear from people all the time, like the new members, is it's kind of intimidating, and it takes some effort, but if you want it, it's a really great opportunity.
It does not surprise me at all that you and Cooper were very intentional in planning and going to those events.
It also gave me a DD.
And that's another bonus. You're going to get that. I can see that for sure. But also, of course, with anything, you get out what you put in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still new, and I feel like I'm, just this young kid, though I've been DJing for a while now, and the people who are a part of this community are leaders in this industry. And I still have yet to meet a lot of them. I had only been to, I think, 2 or 3 events now at this point. But that said, that is really kind of just a preface, or set the table for the listeners and for our friendship, friendship between me and Mikey. What I want to spend some time talking about, or more so hearing from you, Mikey, is your entrepreneurial path, maybe even before Clementine Photo Booth, like what that looked like, and how you got into this industry, and really kind of like that journey, if you will. Does that sound like something we could do?
20 years, you got it.
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years, yeah. So I started photography in 2000. So I guess, I'm coming up on 22 years like in the industry. But as far as like the entrepreneurial part of it, the photography company that I worked for was actually started by my grandfather in 1948. It's the oldest photography studio still running in Sacramento. Dude. And it was it was a really quite an amazing experience. Or I should say, like, my family's company specialized in school photography. So ID card pictures, team photos, high school dances, senior portraits. So you had the whole spectrum of like the production style photography where everyone's, for the ID card pictures, same pose, photograph, 1,000 kids in 2 days, and then go to the next school and do it again.
Wow.
And then you had the senior portrait side, which was like super creative. We had camera rooms with several lights. It was just a very wide range of experiences that I got to learn and really master quite quickly. I mean, even in high school, I was in a photography class and I was teaching the portrait, or the studio lighting, segment of our photography class.
You were like the guest teacher for
correct,
some time.
yeah.
Okay.
And I had I just knew so much at such an early age. I mean, I grew up in it. My teacher knew who my family was.
Gotcha.
I wrote my own finals for high school. It was pretty cool. And then I had actually intended on buying that company out with my cousin from my uncle.
From your grandfather, uncle. Okay.
Yeah, and then my cousin and I were gonna buy it out. And that didn't work out. Working with family is tough. And when I left, I kind of left without a plan. And so it was start my own company as soon as possible. And so, when I started, I was doing everything, right? Like, you want me to photograph your cat? I'm the best damn cat photographer I've ever met. You know what I mean?
This energy over here, bro.
Yeah, and I would do things that I hadn't ever done before, but I would do research, right? I've always wanted to do a really good job at whatever it was I was doing. And I was photographing my wife's family's friends once, and she was like, I don't want you to wing this. And I was like, listen, nothing's ever I'm never really winging anything, right? Like, I might not know how I'm going to do it yet when I get there. Like, I haven't seen where I'm photographing. I don't know how I'm going to set up the lights, but I am an expert, right? Like, I know that I'm going to do a great job when I get there.
Gotcha.
And, but yeah, so that's kind of, how I started. It was doing photography.
What was the name of the company, or was there even?
It was Mikey Smith Photography. It was
okay.
Very original.
Okay. And when was this?
2010 was when I started Mikey Smith Photography.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, my background was in volume photography. So that was where I wanted to move. And so we started doing the Pop Warner football teams, little leagues,
gotcha.
All the youth sports, because it wasn't in direct competition with my family. Their focus was schools. I was able to do something very similar without causing any bad blood, because I wasn't actually going after any of their customers, even though I was using the same skill set.
So, your uncle, cousin was still running the family business, and you were doing your own thing, and being creative, using the knowledge and skill set that you had built over these years, but respectfully not overlapping, if you will.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the problem was getting into the youth sports photography required a lot more gear. When I left the company, I literally didn't even own a camera. I didn't have anything, right? Because that was never part of the plan. And so then I was scrambling, right? And that's kind of how I got into photo booths, was because, it was one of those things where they were just starting to become popular, right? I started doing photo booths in 2012, and they weren't the staple at weddings that they are now. And so I was able to get in really early. It was a similar thing to what I already knew how to do, right? This was moving me much more into weddings and events than I had ever been, though. And I booked a year's worth of events. The first week that I started marking the photo booth, I booked over 50 events that first week.
Were you on your computer and phone the whole time?
Yeah. And so we were running some crazy promotions. I was advertising it like crazy.
Wow.
And the calls came in, and so I basically used a lot of this, all of this money to help build this company, right? All this money got reinvested, and and as soon as this happened, I was like, well, I need more photo booths now. This is nuts, because it was crazy.
Wow.
And it took a couple of years. I mean, because, well, I've moved around a bit, California, Oregon, and then out here to Utah. And it just took it took a toll, like having to fly back to California when I was living in Oregon to do these. And the photo booths, I mean, we were already multi-op. We were multi-op from the beginning, right? And so doing the photo booths, it made a lot more sense for me. And so I stopped doing photography altogether in 2014 to focus 100% on photo booths. And then that was when we started the rebranding process to Clementine Photo Booths, which we are now.
Give me just a second. I want to dive deeper into, I guess, the MultiOp for just a moment. If you're maybe not in the event industry, some context. MultiOp is having basically multiple people on your team executing multiple events in a night. For Mikey, that's multiple photo booths and team members out facilitating those and helping guests have an awesome experience. For DJs, that's having excellent DJs on the team out at the same night at different locations. So that's DJ Argus, that's DJ Dev, that's Kev, and myself out at different events on the same night. That was a really big leap and still is something that, we are the team still working to improve and refine and just make as seamless of an experience. Was that nerve-wracking for you when you decided to go the multi-op route, or you just saw this is popping off, this is going to be incredibly successful, like, we can accomplish this and let's do it? Like, what was your thought process at the time, if you will?
Well, to me, it was the only thing that made sense, right? It's a simple enough thing, especially back then. Photo booths were so basic, right? There wasn't, like, the technology was a lot more cumbersome, but
Got it.
But the process itself, once you had the booth set up, that process was pretty simple. And I mean, I had spent a decade when I was working for the family. I mean, there would be seasons where we would have 60 photographers, and I would 60. Yeah. I mean, we were photographing tons of schools and thousands of kids at the same time.
So the volume was nothing you were shaking.
There would be weekends there where we would have, 11, 15 homecomings on a Saturday. And
dude.
And so I was responsible for all of it. I mean, I was I was basically the liaison to all the schools. So I was the one that met with them, designed their dance backgrounds. Wow. I trained all of the photographers. I mean, I did everything. So that part that was really natural for me. That I was comfortable with that, just because I had already really refined the like instruction part of it. The basics of photography. I was able to teach really, really well.
Wow.
And so that was one of the easier things for the company.
Interesting. I did not see that coming. As I'm hearing this, like it's just the Mikey that I know now and have known for, some time, for a little bit now, it's starting to make more sense. Like
2015, I did over 700 events. It was wild. I mean, wild. We would do 20 plus events on a Saturday.
You didn't sleep, dude?
No. And I was doing that predominantly from home because the majority of I was living in Oregon at that point, and I think I had 9 booths in California or 11 booths in California running, and then I had booths up in Portland as well. But I lived in Corvallis, Oregon. I wasn't anywhere near Portland, so I had other people. I was home, and my job back then was pretty much just manage the chaos, right? Because I'd have people calling me. The client isn't answering. There's no one at the venue. Oh, they changed the address. When you have that many events, those little things
will come up.
Yeah, all the time. And so that was really where I was that my key position was in just being like dispatch, if you will, just to
seriously,
just to take calls from my staff and make sure everything was running smoothly.
Wow. Okay, so I've been on your website a few times. The different locations are still like it's part of the same company today, or has that changed?
Well, so the pandemic kind of foiled things, because like when I had to lay off my admin staff in our other locations, it's hard to rehire when you don't have any admin staff to train new employees, right? How to be attendants, how the booths work, to like
Okay.
hold and manage the supplies, and like the admin staff were all previously photo booth operators, right? So they already knew the business and how I worked really well. And so when I lost that flow, right, it's a lot harder to reopen. So we do still do stuff in other states. Like I said, I just got back from that event. We were at the Ritz Carlton in Lake Tahoe, but yeah, usually now it's me traveling when we're doing our out of state events.
Okay. We're jumping over all over the place right now. We kind of left off 2017-ish pandemic. Um, let's see here, Mikey. Tell me, tell us a little bit more about, I guess, more recent Clementine Photo Booths. Actually, I'm curious, where did the inspiration from the name come from, and what's kind of like the key focus today, and what are some of the favorite booths today?
So the inspiration for the name is kind of funny because I didn't come up with it.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we were out in Oregon, I I I wanted to rebrand, but it's a struggle because there's thousands of photo booth companies now. There's over 100 photo booth companies just in Salt Lake County, right?
Just
Yeah.
in Salt Lake County.
Swear, yeah. Yeah, there's a ton of photo booth companies. And a lot of these are like people who have a booth and may have only ever done one or two events, and there's a lot of those people.
Gotcha.
But they still have a presence, right?
Yeah.
And so when it came time to pick out a new name, I mean, honestly, it's just challenging when, you're one of tens of thousands of companies across the nation. And so I hired a company to help me. And in fact, it took them probably 6 weeks to come up with a list of 5 names because, and they had made a comment about it too. They were like, "Oh my gosh, didn't realize how many photo booth companies there were." And my criteria was simple. I guess maybe not simple, but I wanted a name that had nothing to do with photography, nothing to do with events, right? Kind of like Adobe. Like, what does Adobe have to do with technology, right?
Or Apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Apple. Yeah, exactly. And I wanted something that had energy in the name. I wanted something that was memorable. And the other thing that I had told them was I wanted the color orange to be prominent.
Bro, yeah, you're checking those boxes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they came back with, well, there were other names, but Clementine was the one that jumped out. That was the one that I stuck with.
Okay.
So,
what I want to hear a little more about, and for the listeners, kind of what Clementine looks like today. I know you're, I think, that one of 2 owners of the 360 booth in the state. Is that correct? What's your sweet spot? What do you specialize in? Tell me a little bit more about current Clementine, if you will, Clementine Photo Booths.
yeah. Things have changed quite a bit,
Mhm.
Especially since the pandemic. Really, we transitioned from, or we've been transitioning, I should say, trying to get out of the box of a photo booth being just 3 or 4 photos on printed photo strips, right? And so that's been a really big deal for me. And so over the last few years, we've really leaned into that, especially in the pandemic. I was like, this is my opportunity to really redefine who Clementine Photo Booths is, especially since we were still getting established here in Utah. We started marketing here, I think, in 2017 or 18, 2017. And I really just wanted to take a different approach. And really what Clementine does now is we're trying to help people envision something bigger for their photo and video entertainment, right? I mean, photo booths, I feel like, is an antiquated term now because it really is photo and video entertainment. You mentioned the 360 booth, I mean, it's a digital product, but it blows people's minds, right? And so when I'm talking to people, I I want to know, like, tell me about your vision. Tell me about your wedding, because there are details that, or your event. There are just details that people don't even think to mention to me because I'm just the photo booth, right?
Yeah.
And when I start asking probing questions, I'm like, I'm getting themes and colors and ideas out of them, and and so now we can create an experience that is, the photo booth isn't just going to be something extra at your event. It's going to be part of the event.
Yes,
and that is
add
really
to it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that is really the thing. Like, if I can drive that home to my clients, that is the most important thing, right? I really want, because like, you're throwing the biggest party of your life, right? Like, for weddings.
Yeah. Seriously.
You want people to remember it, right? Like, that's the number one. People always say, "Oh, make the day about you," but it's not about you. It's about your guest, right? Like, that's everyone puts the priority on their guest and the guest experience, and why not blow their minds with something they've never seen before, and not to diss the photo strips, because they're still like a place for those.
Yeah, a great place for them.
Yeah, and. But we have options for that too, right?
Of
You
course.
can have photo strips with boomerang videos and GIFs, or glam booth. So there's still a lot of options for people. Once we start talking, we don't do sales calls anymore. We do consultations, because there's just so much information. People have to, we have to really dive into what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and then throw out different ideas to help capture this vision, and people need to sit and process, and so it's totally a different approach to, like, how we're treating events, the sales process. Everything is different now, and yeah, we have a bunch of different booths. The 360 booth is just going crazy right now. People are loving the 360 booth.
Yo, if you haven't checked out the 360 booth,
If you haven't checked out the 360 booth,
you sleeping.
Yeah, you must be living under a rock or something. Yeah, and it's the interesting thing, because there's people who are like, "Oh yeah, the 360 booth, that's totally just going to be like a fad." I see it all the time in the Facebook groups for the photo booth community, and I'm like, you know what? Here's the thing about the 360 booth: we have regular photo booths, and we have 360 booths, and in between, there have been countless other ideas people have had. I have other services, slow motion, the boomerang booths, Vogue booths. I mean, there are a million. There's one right now where, like, you can take a picture from like 500 feet away, and it's this like special process that zooms in on people. It's supposed to be great for like festivals and stuff. I'm like, that's not going to blow up, right?
That's very niche.
Yeah,
very specific.
yeah. The mirror booths, which I don't know. The thing is, none of those other services, like the slow motion booth, people don't call asking for that, because they don't know it exists, right? And so the problem was always trying to educate the consumer, right, our customers, about the options that they have, and with the 360 booth, they're asking for it by name, right? Instead of it being the, well, we're trying to see if we have it in the budget. They're like, how much does it cost, and what do we have to cut out of the budget to make sure we have this here, right? I mean, it's just totally different, and
that's awesome.
I think the 360 booth is here to stay. It's epic. It's so much fun.
The way you describe, going from the, the printed strips with the 4 photos to everything in between, and then the 360, and, people thinking that it's kind of like a fad or, a trend, makes a lot of sense to me, even though I don't know really much about that industry.
And it's just in its infancy.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Like, I'm curious where you think this industry, capturing the moment, is going to be in the next 5-10 years, because with technology increasing as fast as it is, and only exponentially continuing to increase, like, what's a prediction or two? I'm kind of scared, bro.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I am working on some stuff that I can't mention here, because I'm originating some really cool ideas.
Okay.
And I'm hoping I have enough money to be able to invest into this, because with the 360, I mean, we're the only ones that are doing the confetti cannon with it now. We can incorporate cold sparklers and snow machines, right? So for our winter events, we're not doing backgrounds anymore. I want to do sets, and we've kind of already started doing that.
Mhm.
You know, we have events.
Tell like what is a set? Like what do you mean by that?
Traditionally, with a photo booth, you're going to have like an 8 foot by 8 foot background, just like a 2D background.
Yeah.
And what we've already begun doing, and we've been working with other vendors in the area to help with this, balloon companies and whatnot. But like we're building like full enclosures, right? It's an immersive experience at this point. And like for the winter events this year, we're going to have a snow machine.
That's dope.
You know, and I want to have, you know, the pine trees around, you know, being snowed on. It will be a whole experience. There's so many opportunities, different things you can do with the music and the videos. I mean, it's just a lot. Even today, things are still being rolled out. We now have like end credits. We can have a post roll run after the video captures. Yeah. You know, and the customer today, they didn't know I was doing this. I had this animator create this over the weekend. The developer had just called me and said, "Hey, we just rolled out this new feature, and I'd been asking for it for months." He knew I wanted it, and so as soon as he called me and told me, I hit up my animator. I was like, "Yo, I need this ASAP." They turned it around in like less than 2 days. Got me the video. I got it uploaded. Showed the client today for the first time, and she's like,
and you surprised the client. This was not an expectation.
I didn't charge her anything extra for it. I didn't promise it. She had no idea it was coming, but it turned out really nice. You know, and you know, we animated their logo and everything. It was just nice, man. They really appreciated it.
That's the level of service you get with Clementine, baby. Just like that.
Just like that. Let's
see here, Mikey. So you can't give me even maybe not something you're working on.
I will tell you this. I'll tell you this. I want to make, maybe I shouldn't say this. I want to make like cinematic experiences.
Okay.
At events, right? People are already, like people already look at, you know, things that they see at the award ceremonies and they're like, "Oh, that's really cool. I can do these things." Right. And so I really want to create some thematic experiences where people aren't just like goofing off in front of the booth. There's purpose in what they're doing, right?
Ooh, I feel like I'm picking up.
Listen, it's going to be really cool. I can't wait to pull it off. So it's going to blow people's minds even more.
Again, kind of being vague. Obviously, you've got things behind the scenes. A few ideas are coming to mind. I'm like, okay, I could see that being next level. Okay, so Mikey. Maybe one or two quick questions for you. Just, you know, we're getting close on time. In even just the Salt Lake County that has, you said, over 100 companies. Wow, that blows my mind. I would not have guessed that at all. I would maybe have guessed like 50. That's crazy. In the podcast, I'm a little preface this. I like to, of course, share your story, share the guest's story, maybe some learning lessons or really, really big milestone experiences along their story, but I also like to provide some form of like educational value, if you will. If there's a company who's maybe fairly new to the industry or is wanting to put a lot more time, love, and energy into it to better serve their clients, is there something that you would suggest to them or maybe even a tip or a resource that you'd like to give them to take that next step and level up?
I think the biggest piece of advice I could give is to take advantage of your opportunities, right? Because you know, I hear people all the time who have jobs come up that they pass on because they don't think they can do it or they don't know how they would do it, and really, you know, these are people who I respect. I'm like, you could totally do this, you know what I mean? But
like, you know what they're capable
yeah,
of.
you know, but it's the self-doubt, right? But the thing is, you don't know when this opportunity is going to come back. You know, this event we did in Tahoe, they wanted, you know, custom set pieces and stuff that I didn't own yet, right? And they called me 10 days before the event. But you know, I found this guy in Denver who could make the set piece, and the customer didn't know that I didn't have this, right? They didn't need to know that part of it. They just need to know that I could do it, right? And it's something that I've been wanting to do more of, right? And here was an opportunity. I'm in California for my mom's birthday, get this call for this major job come up, and I'm like, yes, of course I'm going to do it. Because I don't know that this opportunity is going to come up anytime soon again if I don't take advantage of it now.
Gotcha.
Now I have I have new set pieces. I have more things that I can market and advertise. And that's, you just have to take advantage of those opportunities, because you really don't know, when that's going to come back again, and you don't want to miss it.
That's awesome.
So,
as you're explaining this, it just makes me think of just the community around us, and then takes me back to WIPA. Really kind of, again, how our friendship really expanded. Like, should I receive an inquiry that, I'm not positive I can fully deliver on, I'm just not as confident as I could be. There are people within the industry, whether or not that, they're a part of, the WIPA community, for example, but other DJs that I could lean on to go get more information about this equipment, or how to execute this or do this or that. And I've definitely done that, to be able to accomplish, something that may seem as a stretch. And 5 years ago that was a stretch, and now, like, oh, that's easy peasy. So I love that advice. And again, I know I'm new to WIPA, but I'm stoked to get involved. And seriously, I appreciate you encouraging me and being a friend, dude.
Oh yeah, dude.
That year-end gala still blows my mind. And
dude,
the people in that room, like, that they're leading in this industry, and I'm a firm believer in that. You become like the 5 people you surround yourself with the most. And so what I'm trying to say is thank you, Mikey.
Hey, listen,
I appreciate it.
I'm just glad you're a part of it, man. I'm glad you're around. I think you're great. You're a great friend. You're great for the industry.
I'm glad I got to get to know you in Las Vegas too a little bit more.
Dude, I know. It was a good time. It was a good time. Although my age showed a little bit.
No, it did not.
That second night, I was like tapped out.
I don't. Okay, whatever. Whatever. I don't think we talked about it, Mikey. Where can the people find you in Clementine?
Clementine Photo Booths. You search that any platform, you're gonna find me. Instagram, Google, Facebook.
Look for the bright orange, the electric orange.
Yeah. YouTube has been growing, just because we have so many more video options. But yeah. Instagram's probably the best place. That's got just a ton of photos for people to see, and really, until the new website comes out.
All right, is that in the works too?
Yeah. I have a proof that for the new site, I'm supposed to get back with the web designer like 3 days ago, and I haven't done it yet.
The life of an entrepreneur.
Yeah, we just outgrew the old one so fast. Didn't speak to our clientele anymore. So
that's a good problem to have.
It
as
is.
an entrepreneur, business owner. Any last words of wisdom or thoughts, or anything you want to leave the people with, or are we feeling good?
You know what? Just believe in yourself. Be a good person. People like to work with people they like, right? So, be likable. Do a good job. Don't respect it when people refer you. Just do good. Good things will happen.
That goes a long way.
For sure.
If you can't tell, Mikey's a very likable person. So if you're looking to have top of the line, I guess you could say entertainment, if you will. Yes.
Yeah. We're an entertainment company.
There we go.
Photo and video entertainment. That's where it's at.
Excellent. Michael, not is the full name, Mikey.
Yeah, Michael. That's my given name. But Mikey. Yeah.
There's a story there or something.
Well, the thing is, like, there's a lot of Mikes and Michaels, right? There's a lot of photo booth companies.
Yeah.
And, I go by Mikey, and I'm instantly special anywhere. You've only ever met 1 or 2 Mikeys, right? And so, it makes me unique, stand out. People remember me. So
I feel like Mikey comes with a little bit more enthusiasm and joy. Yeah, and light.
It's casual, right? Like, we're already friends because you call me Mikey.
Yes. Mikey is in the house, check them out on Instagram. You can see that 360 photo booth or the results of that experience.
I think I've one of us on there.
Say that again?
I think I've...
Yes, we're on there. Yeah.
Yeah, on our Instagram. Yeah.
Yep. We're Simple Instagram. Nexus. Yeah.
Yep.
Again, a big thank you to all the listeners. A big thank you to the WIPA community. I'm new, but I'm stoked to get more involved. And that is going to do it for episode 39. Episode 39 of Behind the Energy Podcast. We will catch you next week.
Peace.